Welcome back, lovely listeners. We're on to episode 2 of Reasons to Care, the podcast all about heartwarming stories and making a difference with diverse abilities, Dorset's disability charity. I'm Claire, one of the managers in our children's team.
And I'm Michelle, a deputy manager in supported living. This time, we're chatting to one of the team leaders in supported living, Emma Wray, all about her career so far. She's worked with us a long time, so she's definitely going to have some great stories.
Definitely. And of course, don't forget you can check out our career vacancies online at any time at diverseabilities.org.uk/careers.
So let's bring Emma in. Hello, Emma.
Hi.
So thank you for coming along to episode 2. For the listeners, can you give us a little bit about your diverse journey, I suppose?
Okay, so I originally started in 2003. Wasn't entirely sure it was going to be for me. So I started when the organisation still had Edward House. But I remember arriving the first day and everyone being so excited to see a new person that I just thought, actually, I think this might be all right.
Oh.
I was expressing interest to become a team leader quite early on, but originally was going to be moving out into the community when we started supporting living with 2 gentlemen as part of a team under another team leader. But I did get a team leader job just as everyone was moving out and ended up being the first team leader in the community with 2 other gentlemen. And I guess we'll go back to that at some point and talk about how that happened. And then, that was a bumpy start, but we literally have had the best time and gone from one property to another, and also supported 2 ladies at the same time. Have gone back to one service just with 2 gentlemen again, and then I've had various other people to support over the years. I've been helping out in doing some admin stuff with cover and shifts, and so I've had a little bit of experience about everything.
Yeah.
And still loving life.
Do you mind me asking, Emma, what did you do before? What made you think you weren't sure that this was right for you?
So I used to run a bar.
Wow, really different. And I think this is something we keep talking about, isn't it, within these episodes, is actually we take people that have never done this kind of work before we really embrace people because people have got so much to give. And, you're now here for however many years you've been here for, 20 years, is it? 20 plus years? And originally ran a bar.
And before that, I was in sales, which I absolutely hated. And then before that, I worked for the electricity board. So I've had a very random career path because I think initially as I left school, I was just like, I need to chase something or other. And then I realised that wasn't me whatsoever. And I had an experience in the bar. I didn't get on with the chef very well. So he kind of decided that he wanted to get rid of me. So this one particular day, I just thought, right, I'm going to go, I think. And I opened the paper, and in a tiny little advert, there was something that said, do you want to make a difference? And I thought, absolutely, I'll go for that. And that's...
it's giving me goosebumps. Because like that one little just key thing that happened.
Yeah.
And 20 years later.
Yeah, that's it. And
look at all the lives that you've changed.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a massive difference.
Yeah.
And again, it highlights that you can have any skills, and it doesn't need to be that you need to have gone to college or university for that. And that's what we say, when I'm interviewing, a lot of the time, like, but I haven't had experience. And we're like, no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We want to see you as a person, really.
And I think looking back, I didn't think I had experience, but I remember growing up at school and having a friend who was in a wheelchair, but didn't even, I didn't acknowledge it. And then I used to be a competitive swimmer and then moved into teaching swimming and coaching swimming. And I coached a disabled swim team for a while. So I think I was always on the sort of outskirts, but never really thought about it as that. And then I remember travelling and meeting a lady in Sydney who was supporting someone in the community, and remember, I wonder if I could do something like that. Looks like a great job. But yeah, and returning from travelling, didn't do it then, but I think the progress through the bar, and because I was 7 years in the bar, I just flew by.
Yeah.
And then so then the opportunity just popped up.
Amazing.
So what do you think are some of your most rewarding aspects of your role?
Anything that involves any of the people we support achieving something they've always wanted to do, really. Yeah.
Have you got an example? I'm sure. Well, have you got an example? That's a really silly question. You've probably got loads of examples. Maybe could you give us an example of one of those?
So I think one of the biggest ones is the first two people I supported when they first moved into their home. It was only supposed to be temporary, so it's supposed to be because it was a quick kind of for reasons of, benefits and getting funding needed to be done really, really quickly. So we found this property that was not 100% suitable, but we moved in and we made the best of everything. And it was supposed to be 6 months, maybe a year. So 10 years later.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah, when we finally, the fundraising team had done an amazing job and found funding for a bungalow, which was going to be adapted to their needs and 100% how they wanted to have it. I remember that day when we all went to look around it, and one of the guys, very expressive if he was happy or unhappy. So literally, it was almost the day he walked in there, he started clapping his hands and smiling, laughing, and it's almost like his personality and he'd suddenly grown up and thought, this is it. This is where I'm going to live for the rest of my life.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah, and
to be a part of that, like that's such a privilege.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, because all through the sort of 10 years, he wasn't 100% settled. He was getting better, like more settled. But suddenly moving into that property, he was, he was settled. And they got good staff from then on in. People weren't coming and then going, and so I think that will stick out in my
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think for people that obviously are new to care, can you sort of explain a little bit about a team leader role? What do you do? And I can imagine the list again is endless.
I think the more questions, what don't?
Yeah,
which isn't much.
Yeah.
So I like to think I support and encourage and help people achieve, so that whether it be staff or people we support. So with all those things around that, there'll be helping plan day-to-day things for the people we support, what their goals would be, what they would like to achieve, how we're going to help them move forward, to think about things they would like to do that they haven't even thought about before. And for the staff, for sort of enabling them to engage and be happy in their role, to go through their training, rotas, be happy with what they're doing, develop their career path or help to develop their career path. So it is an endless list, but it is a great role. And obviously for me, it's been what I wanted to do, because all my other jobs I left are sort of 7-year itch.
Yeah. Well past that now.
Ingrained, definitely. Yeah. I think it must be a privilege though as well, because you are part of that person's life, but you're also, so that person's life, all the extended, so the families and that communication and that rapport. I think that's a pretty special place to be.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I do get a lot of, particularly with the two people we moved out with, because I've been with those guys for 20 years as well. So, their families have, always include me as part of their family. They always made me feel very, very special and, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess following on from what Michelle has just been talking about and you about the families and sort of the extended families, how do you see the impact of your work on the people you support's extended family?
I feel that if I didn't give on 100% every day I work, I would be letting, not only myself down, the people I'm supporting and their family down. I would feel very much, that I'm not doing what I said I was going to do.
And I think that's the same. Obviously, I work in children's services, so it is slightly different. But I guess we feel exactly the same. I feel like I've become a part of their extended family, and everything I'm kind of doing for them as well. It's not just the child we support, but it's that sort of holistic approach of, I feel like I've got hundreds of extended families now of all the the young people we support, and I want them to look when something's going wrong to be able to pick up the phone to us and go, it's all going horribly wrong, help me, and to be able to say, okay, we've got this, so
we can do it.
We can do it together,
because there is so much fight out there for the families. And I feel like if you're in our position then and you have that chance to make a difference and help, that is what you want to do. So, why not be there and be important for everyone?
Yeah, because I know we're supporting adults, but they still have parents, and for the parents it's still their baby.
Exactly.
And I think when I see it from as some of the young people we support, as they're growing up and getting older, I think the parents they've had to fight so much. They've had to, for some of our young people, they've had to fight to keep them alive. And that's such a massive thing for those families, and it must be so hard to let go. But equally, I think it's that somebody once said to me, it's my sister's rite of passage to leave home. I left home, so why shouldn't she get to leave home? It's something that should just naturally happen, because that's what happens in life. You grow up, you get older, you leave home. But for some families, it must be really hard to let go and to give your trust.
I was going to say, because you have to trust
over
someone like me.
and you do have to sort of give that over to someone, and so it's such an important role that we play,
especially when you've done all that fighting for all those years, and then you're like, okay, I mean, it's hard enough when I left home and my mum was absolutely gutted, and then I think now about Caitlin leaving home and and I haven't had to fight half as much for Caitlin, so I think being a mum, you can sense that and see that even more. So having those relationships is
really,
key.
It's so important.
It really is.
It's not a job you can do half-hearted.
No,
for sure. Because if you're not in it for the reasons that you are going to give your all for someone else, then I don't think it is a job for you.
You kind of almost, I feel like I've found my place and I found my job that I love. I feel like I've almost sold my life over to be like, do you know what I mean? You've got me. You've got all of me. Like, I'm totally committed to making this work and making it right and doing whatever needs to be done, really.
Definitely. So obviously, as it is the Power of Compassion episode, why is compassion important to you, do you think? It's a big question, isn't it?
Well, if you didn't have compassion, you wouldn't be able to do what you do, because, at the end of the day, it isn't a job that you could, I know people try and encourage me to do, but you can't go, okay, it's 5:00, I'm off, I'm off, see you later, there's no one here, but, and equally, if you haven't got compassion as part of your personality, then I think it makes it very difficult for you to understand other people's personalities. And then particularly people we support, because, often they have very quirky traits, and, without that compassion, you wouldn't you would probably find yourself not being able to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, you definitely need that ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and to think outside the box at times as well. Because we all can deal differently and act differently in certain situations. And sometimes that's unpredictable. So you need to, I always say, and I think there's one particular lady that we support that I think you need a tool belt, this virtual tool belt on you that you can take, you know that person really well. And if there's sort of any sort of heightened anxiety or even if the person's really happy, you know what you can take out of that tool belt and use. So that you definitely need to have a wide range and compassion being one of them.
Absolutely. So you'll be very pleased to know it's the final question we have for you.
Oh my gosh.
How do you build meaningful relationships?
Just by, being there, listening, being able to, encourage people to do what, do what they want to, find their feet in the world, even if it's, new staff members or people supported. Not all relationships start well, do they? So, sometimes you would have to work at different sections of the relationship to sort of help both parties, really. So, I mean, it's a tricky one.
I was sort of thinking understanding. I think you've got to have the time and it's got to be, you've got to have the patience, I guess, to understand why somebody might be behaving in a certain way or, understanding what's going on for that person to be able to empathise, I guess, and to unpick it, to then start being able to...
And I think a lot of times you need to not take things personally.
Yes.
And it's really, that is a really difficult one. Going back to, originally starting with my two guys, one of them's quite young at the time, so he had literally moved from parents to suddenly being by himself in a house where he knew his housemate but not very well, and I was forever being told he's aggressive, he's horrible, he hits out, that no one can support him, and I've spent 10 years listening to people be very, very negative about this person constantly. And even people that didn't even work with him were telling other people, oh my God, you've got this, and that was part of a lot of people starting their job and then leaving. And, so understanding is a great one, patience, but also making up your own mind. I think how, encouraging people that actually you might hear these things, but it's not, it's not always correct. So, you need to take time to build that relationship, time to, okay, so if this is happening, why is it happening? And how can I make that feel better?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are written for years and years on a person if they're coming through, potentially looking for a property. And yes, sometimes that's really great in the sense that you get that whole, but actually there can be that one negative comment that can follow that person. And it's just, we wouldn't like it.
No.
It's about finding out about that person for yourself.
It is definitely. I mean, this might be a bit random, but one thing particularly springs to mind is that someone came into his home and actually went, "Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. I thought he'd be," and I thought he'd be. And one of these phrases that really gets my goat is kicking off. I thought it'd be kicking off by now, and I was saying, well, if you want to see someone kicking off, carry on. But like she had this built picture in her head about how so don't. I said, well, what do you expect him? Did you expect him to be frothing at the mouth, or like she was like, well, I just, but, and it's a knowledge. I think without the knowledge of particular people, or even taking the time to go, I'm going to meet this gentleman. What do I need to know? And I think, luckily, it is changing.
It is.
People, but idle gossip about this person, that person, is not a great way to build a relationship for anybody, is it? And I think there's a lot of key things that go into building good relationships and making them last and making them effective and
meaningful.
That's
I was thinking a really good meaningful relationship where it's kind of both ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where both parties sort of buy into that and genuinely care about the outcomes for each other, whether that is to people we support or whether that's people we support staff. It works, doesn't it, always?
Yeah, 100%. And respect as well, because one of the things I talk about in induction is, when you are going to that person's home, yes, it's our workplace, but it's their home. And I wouldn't come to any of yous and just sort of come in and walk in and dump my stuff, as, here I am. You would knock, you would, say hello, check in with the person. And I remind people, and sometimes that is accepted and people are all right, and then others you can see almost like a puzzled look on their face, but that's the first start to your learning that actually you are in a person's home, which I think is really important.
So every episode we have a Mythbuster. So today's Mythbuster is caregiving is a short-term commitment, not a career, and it's financially limited. So Emma and Michelle, what are we thinking about that?
I think we've just proved that with how long Emma's been with Diverse, really.
But that is true.
I think, that is definitely an antiquated, it was always a kind of thing where if you can't get a job, you can get a job in care.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've actually had people say that to me in the past and, and experience different discriminations actually about it, because I've supported one of the guys to go into schools and do recruitment evenings and different things like that. And I actually watched a mum direct her daughter away from our stand going, no, you don't want to go into care. Because, it's clearly some people are still of that, that if you go into care, then it's not a real job. It's not important. But actually, in terms of jobs, and, it is one of the most important jobs you can do.
And I think it's one where you can really change lives and really make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I kind of was going to echo the same, is that this is why we're doing this podcast, isn't it? We're doing this because we want to break down those barriers. We want people to see that care can be a career, that there can be progression. It can be a really meaningful job where you will get to change people's lives. So
and every aspect as well. So whether whether you're a support worker, a team leader, a manager, you are making a difference. And how many jobs do you actually get that?
Yeah.
The
whole chain is important, isn't it? In fact, you could argue that actually the carers are the most important part of that chain, because they are the people that are, really making the difference and delivering that day-to-day, face-to-face
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And I think the not a career part of the myth busting is something that I've always been quite passionate about since working for Diverse Abilities, is because I have seen that progression from people. So I started as a team leader and then have moved sideways, upwards, sideways through many different, we always joke about how many interviews I've had at Diverse Abilities. So I've had so many different job roles because there's always been that, we really want you to go for this job, or actually think about this job. And so I think if you want that career progression, it is 100% there in within care. And it's something when I go to recruitment events, I'm always saying to people, I might have started off as a support worker, but actually, you know, now I'm a children's team manager, and that's just because I've invested the time and, you know, I've got that passion to want to make a difference. So I think that is definitely a myth that needs busting, because there is a career there if you want it.
And I have had the opportunities to do other things, but I'm actually very happy where I am. But, you know, and in terms of, you know, what was it? What was the financial limiting?
Financially limiting.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to become a millionaire, but you know, that doesn't make you happy, does it?
No, absolutely. So previous to Diversibilities, I was working in the NHS and I was really unhappy. I just wasn't settled. I wasn't working with the people I wanted to be working with. And someone told me about Diversibilities and said, you need to apply for this job. And I looked at it and I thought, it's less money. I get less holiday because I've been in the NHS for so long, had a really good pension. And I was thinking, well, do I need to be sensible? And my friend said to me, but you can't put a price on happiness. You need to be happy. You spend a lot of your time, your life at work. You need to be happy. And I thought, do you know what? She's right. I'm just going to do it. I'll make it work because I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And we've made it work. I think you're right. You're never going to be a millionaire, but...
No. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Exactly. I'd much rather be doing what I'm doing.
With, you know, the faces of people we support, you know, that makes...
And the experiences that you get, you know, as well, are absolutely amazing. And to be there, somebody's maybe gone to a concert for the first time or gone on holiday and you're there supporting that. Yeah. I'm always, you know, part of my job is obviously signing off holidays for the people we support. And I'm always like... I would love to be there experiencing that. Yes, it's very, you know, it is a lot, but it is so rewarding.
It's the best thing, taking someone on holiday. Yeah, the best thing, you know, because, you know, they even do things they wouldn't do every day. I mean, you know, some of our guys have been parascending, you know.
And there's no other job where you could get
that. No. So yes, might not be the the richest in the world in financial terms, but I guess we could say in our memories and the rewards that we get from doing our jobs.
No, definitely.
Other ways makes you rich.
Exactly that.
Definitely.
Well, again, I think we might have busted that myth.
100%. So as you're aware, every episode, myself and Claire will pull out a memory from our happy jar. And these can be from anywhere in the service of Diversibilities. So Claire, do you want to start with yours?
Okay, so the one I've just taken is, we supported a person to spend a weekend with his sister. He'd never visited her family before and he has continued to visit since. So I'm guessing that would be from supported living.
Yes, it would be from supported living, definitely. Well, that's one of the nice things is that obviously if there's not any, if they haven't got day centre or anything like that, there is periods where you can go and visit extended family. Yeah, it's a nice part of the job.
And I guess it's nice for the person you're supporting as well to maintain that connection, because that connection to your family and to your history, and it is really important.
It's so important. You know, that
makes up who you are.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it makes up who you are. And that's what supported living is about. You know, as people try and ask when I'm sort of recruiting, you know, a day-to-day life, and it is whatever you or I would do, and one of them is to maintain that contact with the people that are close, you hold closest to you. So this particular one I think was quite far away. I don't think the gentleman had gone so far in the car, and I believe the staff member had interesting time with the sat nav, which the person supported found highly amusing.
I'm sure there's a real long story to tell around that one. So Misha, what one's yours?
So surf therapy, really wet and gale force winds. Everyone got stuck in and had lots of fun. I think this might be from children.
I think it is.
It's a little bit.
And it's actually from last summer. So Project My Time is a school holiday service that we run, and we'd booked to take the young people to a surf therapy session. So I'd been down to visit beforehand, and it was a beautifully sunny day, and I sat on the beach and I was watching all these young people surfing, and I thought, this is exactly what we need to do for our children. So I booked it, and the day arrived, and it was gale force winds, torrential rain. And I was like, what do we do? Do we cancel it? And I don't like cancelling things, because I think once a parent's booked a session for a young person, they know in their head, I've just got to get to Wednesday morning and then I can have a break. Certainly in the summer holidays that are really long, we all know what it's like. Just want time away from your kids to have a cup of tea or do your food shopping or what have you. So I never like to cancel anything. So the surf therapy company phoned up and they were like, do you want to cancel? And I was like, not really. She was like, no, I don't want to either. She said, let's adapt it. So we had 6 children on the beach playing beach games, going in the sea one at a time, because that was all they could risk assess, was one at a time. The staff were absolutely drenched in this torrential rain, but everybody was just having so much fun. And afterwards, one of the parents said to one of the staff members, I don't know how you do it. How on earth did you laugh and have so much fun in that weather? But it's just what we do, isn't it? You're there to make a difference. You're there to have fun. And if the kids are having fun, it's kind of a byproduct, isn't it? You're going to join in. And so, yeah, that was an interesting
I can imagine it was
memory for us.
100%. But like you say, cancelling for the parents, but also for the children.
Yeah.
Would not have...
No, lots of our children obviously use lots of visual timetabling, and transitions are really difficult for them. So if something gets cancelled, for them it could feel like the end of the world. So yeah, we try really hard not to cancel, and we'll just move things, adapt things. But as the surf people were happy to go ahead, we were like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, sounds amazing. I wish I'd been on the beach.
To warm up afterwards.
Yeah. So, Emma, I can imagine your happy jar is pretty full after 20 years.
I do have lots of, I just sat here trying to rack my brain which one to tell you about. So I could tell you about hundreds and hundreds, but one that's particularly sticking in my mind is that for a birthday one year, I mean, I'm happy to say he hasn't wanted to do it since, so it's all good. One of the people I support wanted to go to a strip club. So he got a group of his lad friends together, and there ended up being 4, and one of the male support staff that was going to support one of the guys couldn't make it. So I was like, oh, okay then, let's go. So I happily turned up with the person to the bar, much to the horror of all the other male support staff that were there. That I was, and one of them wanted a dance as well. So I remember sitting in private dance with 2 of the guys, because they went in together, and then they were so kind of flabbergasted that they were just sat there drinking their beer and looking at the floor. So
I just think
that
so
just makes me giggle so much every time I think about it.
How person-centred though, like.
Absolutely.
There's no more than that you could
and
be.
I just think, like, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not? If that's what somebody wants to do, why not?
Yeah.
If they want to go parasending, if they want whatever it is, if it's safe, why not?
I have to say that the young lady that was dancing, incredible, how fit she needed to be.
Exactly.
So, I could appreciate.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
we all had a great night.
Sounds like it. Oh, well, thank you so much, Emma, for joining us. It has been lovely to sit down and have a proper chat.
Yeah, it's been great to hear about all the different things you've done, and all the life you've changed.
Yeah. I think I could probably go on forever, but yeah.
I think we all could. And I think that's something we always talk about, isn't it? We always say, we're always full of so many memories. And sometimes we're sat down having these conversations, it feels like, just gone forever.
Yeah, definitely.
What an excellent story there from Emma. It's amazing how we can all step into our dream careers almost without realising it or knowing it's what we want to do.
She's a fantastic member of the team, and we're really proud to have her as part of our adult services in supported living.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Reasons to Care, the podcast from Diverse Abilities, Dorset's disability charity, all about what it means to work in care.
We'll be back with you again soon, so make sure you subscribe for updates. But in the meantime, don't forget to follow Diverse Abilities on social media. Check out our vacancies at diverseabilities.org.uk/careers. And we'd love it if you could leave a review if you enjoyed this episode. Speak to you soon.
Bye.